Are you tired of the same old weekend routine, looking for something new and exciting?
Then get ready to rev your engines at Throttle and Swing, the ultimate entertainment destination at NOLA Motorsports Park.
That's right, we're talking an 80 configuration go-kart track that'll have you feeling like a pro racer.
But that's not all. We've also got a brand new 18-hole mini golf course and a state-of-the-art arcade.
Delicious craft pizza kitchen and a full bar. Think unique cocktails, gourmet coffee, and the perfect place to refuel after all the fun.
Plus, relax in our outdoor lawn area with the playground, live music stage, a huge television for watch parties, and free Wi-Fi too. It's perfect for work or play.
And if you're planning a party, Throttle and Swing can handle it. Any size gathering, we've got you covered.
So, what are you waiting for? Head over to NOLA Motorsports Park on the West Bank and experience the unparalleled excitement of Throttle and Swing.
Throttle and Swing at NOLA Motorsports Park. Get your adrenaline pumping. Chocolate lovers rejoice. Scandalous Chocolates has arrived in New York with 4 sensational new varieties.
That's right. They aren't just chocolates. They're an experience. Premium edibles crafted with the finest ingredients, blending sweet and savory sophistication.
We're talking 20 milligrams premium chocolate lips, sleekly packaged, perfect for on-the-go indulgence. Nuts, fruits, caramel, it's an affair you can take anywhere.
At just $10, it's an affordable luxury. Fair trade, single origin, gluten-free, and vegan. Find Scandalous Chocolates at quality dispensaries like Travel Agency in Gotham.
Scandalous Chocolates. When you're in New York, awaken your senses and delight your palate.
The affair you could take anywhere. Scandalous. Are you looking for a unique New Orleans experience?
Check out New Orleans artist Frenchie at FrenchieLive.com.
Featuring original artworks, prints, and more. See it all at www.frenchielive.com.
Live event bookings are available. The gallery is open by appointment only.
And for private showings or parties, email info@frenchielive.com.
Experience the art. Experience the artist. Frenchie Gallery. www.frenchielive.com.
Hey, Jay, you hungry? Like really hungry?
Yeah, I'm in the mood for oysters. Hey, let's check out Trenas.
Oysters? I love oysters.
Trenas features a wide variety of local oysters. Char, grilled, baked, and on the half shell, even the famous oyster log.
Oyster log? I heard about that. You get 6 each of their signature baked oysters, plus 6 fried, all on a cypress slab?
42 oysters. We are going to love it. Trenas is located in the Hotel Intercontinental, 444 St. Charles Avenue, right on the parade route.
Sweet. When can we go?
7 days a week for lunch and dinner, plus a mimosa brunch on weekends, and happy hour daily from 3 to 6.
Happy hour? Nah, you're talking my language.
Great drinks, great wine list. An award-winning chef, Matthew Farmer, leads a team serving the best seafood in New Orleans. Trenas.
Trenas. Got it. Let's go.
It is something that everyone should get a chance to experience from New Orleans. There are other places that have large, grandiose things. I ain't gonna say that ours is tiny or small, but we know how to do it. And when we get on that pony, we just ride it on down.
Walking, stepping down the street, y'all, talking, never know who you're gonna meet. Dancing, the groove feels so good to me. Singing, wow, yes indeed, y'all. Soulful living is all we know how to do. In the greatest place on earth, I'm talking about New Orleans, the greatest place I know. My hometown, the greatest place on earth. Yeah, yes indeed, y'all.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and kids of all ages. Welcome back to the Only Good Vibes News Network, your source for positive information in New Orleans, Louisiana, and beyond. First, we want to give a shout out to some folks who are loyal listeners. some of the newer guys that we want to give a shout out to is all the folks that just signed up and subscribe. We always ask you to subscribe, like, and share. Only Good Vibes News Network. Going to give a shout out to Lauren, Nick B, Y Timmy, Gabriel Torres, and B Tragel, and Jennifer Lazarus. And Jen is in New York. She's a good friend of ours. Want to tell her thank you. And also Shecky, who's in France, who listens to us religiously, who's a good friend of mine who used to paint me up before he moved to France. And then we also have Sherry and Jack, who are in Spain. And we are grateful for your time. And we're thankful for our sponsors for making this possible. Now let's get these good vibes rolling. First things first, we have the Sage and Palo Santos already burning. And we've already picked 2 cards. And we have these Zen cards that we pulled today. And we like to share them with you to bring you joy and give you some inspiration. And it's just something that we do always before the show. The card that we picked as Ego was one of the first ones. It says, Ego, those who say they know do not know. Those who say they do not know also don't know. Therefore, be quiet. Let your actions speak for you. They speak much louder than your words anyway. Ain't that the truth? Right? And then this next one is contentment. It says on the back, rejoice in whatever life gives you. Crave nothing else. Know that whatever you have been given is for your own highest good. Boy, if you can live in those 2 places, you got some humbleness. You can be humble. A lot of different things. So today we have a musician, an author, a photographer, an NFL player, a park ranger, an actor, a teacher. And I know it sounds like I'm talking about a lot of folks, but I'm talking about just one man, the one and only Bruce Sunpie Barnes. My friend.
Good day.
Welcome,
good day.
my brother.
What to say,
Thank
bro?
you, man.
All
We've
right.
been wanting to have you here, and I'm just thrilled. I'm really excited, man. You know, I mean, the folks who don't know Bruce is he's a big chief for the Northside Skull and Bones gang, which is one of the oldest existing carnival groups in New Orleans. He's also a musician, like we said, a park ranger, a naturalist, a photographer, and actor, former high school biology teacher, NFL player for the Kansas City Chiefs, and his musical group, Sunpie and the Louisiana Sunspots, who also is going to be playing at the Crew of Oak.
Sure is. Friday night. Going down.
Yes, sir. And they've also played all across the United States, and we're real honored. And he's also played in 35 different countries and have been featured in many movies and documentaries and have recorded 5 critically acclaimed albums. Wow. I mean, that's a lot to say. That's a lot. You keep him busy these days all the time,
I like to
as
keep
usual.
busy. I don't mind his workshop.
Hey, man, you're right about that. You know that. You know,
Yeah.
man. I'm stoked to have you here again once again,
Yeah,
man.
thank you
And
for
I
having
feel
me,
like
bro.
you're a personal friend of mine, so it's really special for me to get you here.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm really happy about, and it just happened this way. That's what I always believe, things happen for a reason. But to have you here during the middle of the carnival season,
Yeah.
I know he was probably packed. We were looking at the schedules like, man, you got 3 nights in a row here. We can't get enough. So try to see what we can get him.
You already know. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. We're making it happen, though. That's the main thing. You know, when I heard you and you were talking about, like, you know, what this show is all about, I was like, yeah, that's why I do carnival and everything else. That's the clouds I like to ride on and the wave that I like to stay on.
That's awesome. One of the first questions I wanted to ask you before we got started was, what does Mardi Gras mean to you?
Mardi Gras to me is like this is it's the best of what we do down here in this place called the Crescent City, the city that Care forgot. Well, it has many different names, but it is absolutely the best of what we know how to do and what we enjoy and love to do in the city of New Orleans. And they have carnival all over the world. But this little town that's not that big is really, to me, and I've seen a lot of carnival,
That's
different
what I was
places
gonna
in
say.
different ways, but hey, the heavyweight champ is right here. It is
Man.
something that everyone should get a chance to experience some New Orleans. There are other places that have large, grandiose things. I ain't gonna say that ours is tiny or small, but we know how to do it. And when we get on that pony, we just ride it on down all the way. There's no backing out
man
of
on
it.
a horse. Let's go.
Yeah, and so it's just like what a community can do to show itself, and what it is always and has been to me is self-validation. So we know how to do that, and we do it in so many different complex ways: block to block, house to house, street to street. People get together and they just go for it. When they go out to the parades, they come in with a big smile on their face, and you get to see how much work has been put into a middle school marching band. That you just don't see this everywhere, but it's what happens here. So it's how we mark the season, of course. But these are like watermarks in life, also.
Man, I got to tell you, that's one of the best analogies I've heard when someone said something about what Mardi Gras means to them. I love the approach that your angle that you took of talking like as little as, not as little, but just the bands and how many bands go through that thing and get prepared. And I like, this show is mostly about community, right? And that's the community that you're talking about, like everybody getting ready and how we do it. And I love the way that you say we best at what we do. I mean, that's really touching for a sixth generation New Orleanian, My great grandfather was here in 1835, man, and he was a carriage driver in 1870s, right in the Seventh Ward, right, not too far from here. But to hear it put like that, really, we have these things that gives us a lot of pride in this place. There's a lot of things like in life. We can look at all the things that we don't have all the time, right? But there's a lot of things that we do have. And when you talking about that, you hit a nerve, man. And I was like, I always give people credit whenever I use their stuff. So I'll give you credit for that one too.
Free to roam.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
And people think about the beads and the parades, and they think about Mardi Gras. What part of the season do you think is the most kind of overlooked?
I think it is the total effort that people put into making it happen. Just as I said, house to house, neighborhood to neighborhood, one street, two streets, blocks, different parts of town, all have their own take on it. And, we say you can do and be anything you want to for Mardi Gras other than your natural self. Okay?
Beautiful.
So you can really stretch your mind out and do that. It's the effort that people put into it. To like coming up with, you might see 35 milk cows coming down the street. They're gonna have signs and they'll have a theme, and it could be the moo cows. You don't know what it's gonna be, and they're gonna say what they gotta say, and they're going all in. And it's making their suits, making their costumes, it's how much joy and imagination that people put forth for that to make it happen. Even if they're just going out and they got some young kids and they're building a ladder and they're doing all this stuff to get them up on top of the ladder so they can be firsthand individual, and because it's something that permeates your spirit and your soul, and once it ignites you, that's it. It's like the old Dracula bite. You're going to be turned. You're going to be Mardi Gras.
Right? You'll be howling at the moon.
Mardi Gras forever.
Yes.
But it's those parts of it. The pageantry comes from within. So that's the real thing. To me, the pageantry comes from within. It's just like to see people as the days ramp up to get closer to, Fat Tuesday, you see people out. They're like 3 days early out on the route to just to be there. They cooking food. They done laid out their space. They are thinking about it. They can't sleep at night because they're so excited about it. And I mean, it is 8 to 98. It's 5 years old, 6 years old, 100 years old. They're gonna get them some Mardi Gras. Yeah. So it's just like you feel that when the ground start trembling,
Yes.
and and you hear, like that energy that ramps up, and it just wells up really from within the households and the people, and then it's out in the street everywhere, and then all of a sudden you hear the sounds of music drifting through the air from every direction. Man, that's
chills, man. Give me chills.
I'm saying a lot of words, but it's really better felt than talked about.
Yeah, one of the things that you said the most that I think about is I think about all those things that you said as the heavy lifting, like the things that people, we as humans, especially as blessed humans, we often, not intentionally, but we tend to, forget about the little things that we take for granted. You know what I mean? Like the bands, the people getting their chairs, the guys out there 3 days in advance. Like that's the real, the happenings of what's going on. The beads, those things are just kind of like the shiny things, but the waiting in traffic, the going there, and that whole vibe and that feeling is exactly like you put your hand right on and name it. So you were born in Arkansas. What brought you to New Orleans?
A Toyota Corolla.
I love it.
What brought me here, I had dreams. And this is known as the city of dreams, and I had, as you mentioned earlier, I played ball and stuff like that, and I was deciding, was that the career path I wanted? But when I was young, in the 10th grade, going on to 11th grade, I sat down one day in front of a mirror with a blank notepad and took a look at myself. I was like, who am I actually? So I wrote down the top 10 things that I thought would be like dreams in my life, or things I wanted to do and obtain. So I knew I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to play music. I wanted to work in nature and do many different things that I had that were just like personal dreams. So I wrote those 10 things down. And at the same time, I wrote down the top 10 things I wanted nothing to do with, that I thought would not be good for me, beneficial for me. It's all very personal. And that was my list. So coming to New Orleans was a part of that. And I worked for the National Park Service up on the Buffalo River as a student ranger when I was in college. And then when I decided that I was going to walk off the football field and go ahead and stick that, because it wasn't on my list, even though I was, I ain't going to say I was a bad athlete. I was pretty good,
Yeah.
And
it looked like you could still play.
Yeah, well, that was a minute ago, but I thought it was and like continuing to have good health was one that we always try and think about. So that was a big deal for me. And I was just like thinking about the longevity of it, of me. And then like saying, when I get to be 50 years old, I want to still be playing music, playing blues, doing this, doing that, playing, and that was like a thought process when I was 16.
That's amazing.
And so I stuck to my guns. And when I decided I wanted to do that, continue that, I blindfolded myself and I threw a dart at a map of the U.S., just to test it. It had all the national parks on it, so they have a National Park Service. And I hit New Orleans twice. I hit this best 2 out of 3, and I hit St. John's Island once, which I thought was pretty good. Also, I hit St. John first, so I was like, okay, they have a 5,000-acre underwater park. And I studied fish, like ichthyology and marine biology when I was a kid, because one of my big dreams was to work with fish and to be in, I was going to work with Jacques Cousteau.
Nice.
So I'm like, I'm going for it. And when I started going out to decide where I was going to go to university, I had like 53 scholarship offers. So I'm going to all of these different universities, big, large, and in between every weekend practically when I was a senior in high school. And I would talk about my dream of, studying fish and working in marine culture and stuff like that. Nobody really took me serious, I'm not gonna lie. But I finally went to this smaller school and I was like, okay, the world of appearances will get you tangled up if that's all you consider and don't consider yourself. So I said, no, I'm sticking to the dreams I had because I had my notepad with me. I went to Henderson State University and to visit, and I went to talk to the coach. I was like, okay, let's see what this one said. I was just like, I'm just going to wait until somebody hears me. And when I told him what I was thinking about studying, doing that, he said sounds like to me you need to go talk to the university president. So he sent me to this man's. I was like, okay. I go there, knock on his door, and he was like, come on in. I told him, I had my notepad with me.
That's important, kids. Listen closely.
He said, let's go take a walk. So he took me over to the biology department there and introduced me to one of the people who really helped to shape me, a guy named Dr. Kelly Oliver, who was teaching ichthyology and zoology. And so I said, well, this is the place. And so
yeah, he brought you right up.
People thought I was crazy. I was like, no, I'll just be a big fish in a small pond. So I went for it, and that was it. And and from there, I was at that university also. I started working for the National Park Service in the summer. Got that kind of permanent status as I graduated, and I went off and played ball. And then I decided I wanted to stick to my dream, so I hit New Orleans twice on the map. 1987. I said, okay, I'm gonna see what happens. So you have to apply or hope you get an offer from one of these parks, and you have 120 days to accept an offer. So that was February the 7th. I turned in my paperwork.
That was yesterday,
February 7th.
2 days ago.
Yeah, and on the 17th, I was in New Orleans with a job, like Mardi Gras.
Amen.
I came in the weekend Mardi Gras was happening. I didn't have a clue it was carnival time. Wow. I said, man, I don't know if I can handle New Orleans. This place is buck wild, boy. It was upside down.
Every day.
I drove on a Sunday. I drove right.
Like, this is a Sunday?
This is Sunday, and I drive right down into the middle of, they used to have an off-ramp down there, right at Basin and stuff right there. And
Yep.
I drove down into the middle of that and the 6th Ward Tremaine
You're
neighborhood and to ask for
home.
directions how to get to the West Bank. Somebody jumped on top of my car and started dancing. They sent me to Slidell twice. I asked for directions to the West Bank. They sent me to Slidell twice.
Maybe something's trying to tell you about Slidell.
The people in Slidell were laughing. They said, man, they're messing with you. So I finally found it. I still didn't know it was carnival. I drive over the bridge, Mississippi River Bridge, because, up high like that, you see them just parades, party everywhere. Wow. So I get on the West Bank. I'm driving on the expressway, and I see the same thing. I was like, wow.
It's everywhere here.
This is a Sunday. It was just like, I was down the rabbit hole so fast.
Man.
And, yeah, that's how I got here, and I just, I fell in love. I was down the rabbit hole quick.
You just said something the last sentence, you fell in love with it. I always tell people, it blows my mind how, people come here and it's literally like a love affair. Like if you met this girl, and you're like, man, she's kind of cool. I mean, I think I'm kind of vibing on this. Let me check this out some more. And they just get overwhelmed, man. And I'm getting chills up and down, but I'm very emotional because I believe that if something is for you, nobody can stop you from getting it. And if something is not for you, nobody can help you get it.
That's right.
The fact that you threw the darts and hit New Orleans twice, man, that got me real emotional because I live my life like that too in some situations, like you have to just like relax sometimes, and the answers are almost there. And you know what I mean?
Let it happen. Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's definitely. Maybe people do things differently, but for me, I just recognize that's how it works, and so don't fight the feeling. I definitely did that.
It seemed like a testament for me. I always tell people when you see someone who's really good, you blame the parents. If you see someone who's really bad, it's kind of the parents too. But for you to be at 15 years old, making a list, that's some real good parenting. Like saying, okay, I'm going to put this out here and I'm going to do this. I'm like the pros and the cons, and I'm just going to, leave it out to the universe and the higher power. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And I mean, dude.
Yeah.
The Northside Skull and Bones chief, it's like you go back to that 15-year-old guy, and then now you're like, man,
that was
that's an amazing, and not even talking about the sunspots or anything like that, but just amazing.
Yeah, this. I was into the thought process of enjoying life and let things happen. Paying attention. It's good to pay attention. It's good to like understand how deeply things can be connected. I felt like New Orleans was a place that always helped me. I didn't have, I never tried to like cut against the grain or anything when elders and different people would just sit me down and talk to me. I was totally fascinated with how open everything was. Just rolling into this space, obviously some country kid, you know. I had relatives, you know, all my relatives were from Louisiana, but, you know, my grandmother on my mother's side from St. Joseph, Tensall Parish, all of my father's family, other than cousins that he had here in New Orleans, were, you know, a little place called Bayou Bonnet, Mer Rouge, all this, you know. So that's what I knew about Louisiana, but I didn't have the New Orleans experience, but I just fell off into it, and I was like, okay, I want to get a formal education about culture and all the people and what is going on in this area down here in New Orleans and in South Louisiana. And to me, I consider the formal education to be like real relationships that you have with people.
Yeah.
Around music, around food, around and so many people helped me out immediately. I was just driving over here to your space and remembering people like Danny Barker sitting me down. And
I love Danny Barker, man. Everything about him and Lulu, bro. They're just quintessential New Orleanians. You can have a person better than
Danny was talking to me a lot about the National Park Service. Way back then in the 80s, Danny and I and Placide Adams, who lived not too far from here also, we made a commercial together for Nabisco called Apple Shreddies in 1989, and it was amazing because it won the Golden Leaf Award in Canada for best commercial in that time, and George Lucas came down to direct it in the middle of making Star Wars.
Man, that's what I was about to say, Mr.
He was
Star
right
Wars,
in the middle
dude.
of it. And he stopped and came down and directed this commercial. We did it, Call Coffee House, back in the day, and they wanted 3 musicians that was speaking Creole and playing music. It was just like a scene in there.
Dude,
and we got paid way back there. I was a nifty little kid around contracts. I learned a lot playing in the NFL, how to read a contract and what was, you know, what was being said and not being said. And then I got lucky, like, you know, making commercials. I just, you know, somehow I ended up making like 10 national commercials in 1 year. And so that's
good mailbox money right there, boy.
It was. And when Danny and Placide and I, we did this thing, and we made.
That's awesome.
We made like $22,000 each off of that.
I mean, that's good money. Back in those days, that's a lot of money.
Got me out of debt. I was like, oh yeah,
high rolling.
I wasn't really in debt, but I was. But I was doing much better, and we all became great friends. And Placide's wife would like invite me over. I had a lifetime supply of 7 clear water gumbo.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, man. You got everything that you need right there.
Yeah, so Danny would like invite me to Palm Court to come and play with him and stuff. I was scared to death. I'm like, oh, I can't play with y'all, man. That's like too much. He was like, well, you're a blues man, ain't you? And he was like, well, that's what jazz is, ain't it? And so he was like, come on. So
that's what I hear a lot of people talk about, how people pull you in. I had Alon Shaya on, and he was talking about when he came here at 25 years old, he said it was Katrina was here. And he was like, he had Willie Mays and Leah Chase. Took him like the same way, like Danny Barker and them. And I mean, you're talking about people who wasn't even here. You came from Philly, you know. And that's another thing that, as a New Orleans, blows my mind, how many people like you came from Arkansas, which is real close, but you're a quintessential New Orleans person. Like what New Orleans is about. Now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but there's a lot of that comes here. If you look at
it's a generosity.
You look at the Maple Leaf, looks like that. Hank is from New York. You know, Jack is from Hank's from Washington, but Jack next door is Syracuse, New York. And then Frenchie, the painter, he's from Lowell. But Massachusetts, but a lot of people would think that you guys are just born here in the bread, but it's something that comes and just gets into a person. And, from that 15-year-old kid to the person that you are now, that just speaks volumes to me, man.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, this is a place where you can reinvent yourself. If you don't know yourself, you come down to New Orleans, as the people say, you're about to find out.
Yeah,
you're gonna. If I'm gritting so hard, I got tears in my eyes. But I mean, you're gonna find out. So it was, Danny and them, and I was interested in playing music, and I felt like I was like, man, this could be difficult. And I was like, no, let me just go to the right places. I mean, I hung out in a lot of juke joints, but started playing with Barbara George, and in her band, she had this cat, Leroy, who was a guitar player. He had been Jimmy Reed's guitar player for like 25 years, did all of his recording. He was actually the rhythm guitar player, and he was playing everything.
Oh, really?
And bass player was Little Richard's old bass player, Boo, and we was playing some joints.
Man, you hit right smack dab in the middle of it, huh?
She just adopted me as her son.
That's a beautiful thing.
We would play it, the Grease over on Basin in Orleans on Sunday. So meeting other people like, Fats. I became great friends with Fats. And
when is the book coming out? Is it all right?
I have some books about music, but they're mostly about other people. Yeah. But going in that space on Sunday, I learned that you could eat really well with just being attentive. You got to bring something to the table now. I started playing with Irvin Bannister and the All Stars. Irvin Bannister Sr., and he was the house band, had a cat named Little Freddie, who worked at Charity Hospital, vocalist. But everybody would come there on Sunday. Gene Knight, Kato, Jesse Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Benny Spillman.
All the hitters.
Fats, Tommy Ridgely, you name it. They would all come there, and they would all sing one song. They would sing their one hit, one big hit. Fats was the only one they say, do anything you want to, but he would only ever play 2 songs. But they had the lineup of all the food, Yakamin, meatloaf. They had everything laid out, and it was all free. This was like Sunday at 6 p.m. At the Grease, you could go there and do that. And then at like 10 o'clock, right around the corner, the place that it used to be called, it was Pearls, beauty shop, and then became the Petroleum Lounge. And it's now the Treme Coffee House. But the Olympia Brass Band played around the corner there. And then they had the Caledonia on the corner across from that, and the Candlelight, and a little farther, Little People's Place, and they had like 7 or 8 bars right there in that 6-block radius.
I got it.
So that was just one of the many places, and then of course uptown and back of town and Gert Town and back in Pigeon Town, the old Odd Fellows and the Eagles.
That's where my folks
stuff,
were.
Really.
Mostly over by
Pizza and
where the bridge goes right up on Earhart, right there, where they had that little bar there. That's been in our family since like 1800s. That same property.
Yeah, and Margie. So I used to go back there to Shrewsbury with Tommy Ridgely. And on the corner,
I was raised in Bunch Village. My mother was married to my father, and they lived on Cone Street. And when they split up, my mom went to Metairie with her mother. But what people should know about the Treme, and a lot of people know, I know you know this, and that you think about all of that culture and all that camaraderie and kindness, it brings me right back to understanding that was the first place where free people of color can go to the opera and the symphony in the United States of America.
Yeah, and they were also playing the music.
Period.
Like all the musicians were young Afro Creole.
It's a special place.
Men and women that were in both operas. And the opera it was kind of European style opera, and then the one that was called the like the African opera. So
amazing.
Both of those
stuff.
were like the first in the country, and so much music coming out of there, going. People used to stand outside of James Black's house like it was a nightclub, and it would just be him in there working out on his drums, which was amazing. Oh man, it was something. It was all of that Lou and Charlie stuff. and I used to started playing. So I was moving slow. I've been in about 3 years. I was like, I want to do more of these. I just wanted to do some music, like up at the Maple Leaf, with the R&B things that I was experiencing in other parts of town, like down in the Sixth Ward and the Tremé.
Yes.
And these folks were like playing for very small amounts. I was like, well, Barbara, let's go to the Maple Leaf. She was like, oh, we don't go up there. And I said, well, I'm going to talk to that dude, John.
Yep.
And he'll do it. And so
Boom.
he'll book you. And
Yeah,
so
you're right.
we tried it. I think it was like 1990, 91. We tried, and it went great. So Walter helped me put a band together, Snap Bean.
Boom.
Walter was playing bass. This is Walter Payton.
Yep.
Eugene Ross, who was a guitar player for Fats's band, but also played with Roy Brown and got Good Rockin' the Night and all that stuff like that. And then Red Tyler and Red Morgan were playing saxophone and had 2 drummers. Because we came to the rehearsal, one of the other drummers showed it was Smokey Johnson and Gene. And June rather. So they both showed up and they were playing, and this thing was packed. Between the Maple Leaf and Muddy Waters, they used to just block the street off during Jazz Fest and put a horse out there. It'd be like 700 people out in the street going back and forth between the bars. So we tried that, and then Marsha Ball came to us. She also helped me get, when I first time I played in Jazz Fest, her band backed me. When I played, so Willie Dixon helped me get into Jazz Fest. I started doing stuff with him with his Blues Heaven and the All Stars, Willie Dixon and the All Stars, Chicago Blues All Stars. So he was down in '89 playing Jazz Fest, and he asked me to come out with it. He says, "Well, son, what day you playing Jazz Fest?" I was like, "Oh, Mr. Dixon, hey, people don't know me." And he was like, "What you mean they don't know you?" And so he was like, "Get in the car, let's take a ride." So we get in his Lincoln.
That's awesome.
And we drove over. I didn't know where we were going, but I was with Willie Dixon. So this is
the only
just like
thing that
totally a
matters.
dream
Yeah,
come
we
true.
go wherever you want to go.
And he just decided he was going to befriend me. So, he had me playing blues, and I started doing blues in the schools, teaching kids with him and stuff like that, how to play harmonica. And he takes me over to Quint's house. I didn't know. It was great. On Mall Street. He, bam, bam, bam. He beat on the door like he,
Yeah.
Like
the police.
Yeah. He was beyond the police. It was like, somebody really wants something.
Open this door.
So Quinn opens it. I'll never forget it because it's such a funny scene. He opened the door and he looked up and he said, "Willie Dixon." He stepped back.
He's just like,
and Willie said, yeah. How come he ain't in Jazz Fest? He was like pointing at me, and Quinn was like, who is this kid? Basically, he was on his face. And he said, "Well, who is it?" He said, "Oh, man, you don't even know your own stars in your town." And so
that sounds exactly like
it was so funny.
Exactly.
So we were talking. Quinn said, "Well, it must have been some kind of oversight." So
Yeah, but we got it without.
nevertheless, they let me, they allowed me to play, and I'm playing in the Banana Boat Gazebo. They used to have, if you remember this thing,
Yes.
it was a little outdoor gazebo tent, and it was so I'm playing, and Marsha offered her band, Ron and the guitar player and her bass player and stuff played with me. Ben Samuel played drums, and so that was the first time I played. But we drew a crowd. Now we had like about 3,000 people out in the middle of the infield. There was no real stages in the infield at that time, other than like that right there, and B97 Blues.
Man, you're on the forefront of so many things, and I keep thinking about how life works, man.
It does.
It's just you opened yourself up. I mean, you went out and said, "I'm going to go to this place. I have these dreams. I have these ambitions. I'm going to go, and I'm going to trust my intuition, and I'm going to go."
Yeah.
And man, were you fed and just rewarded? It was just
and I was never really, I wasn't chasing the dreams. I was just like, I just allowed it to come, as it does. And if it's right, I know it's right. If it's not, I'm going to know that too. But I'm not going to question good things that happen. And, you know, with people like Fats and all those folks like that. Now, a friend of mine, Diana Chenevere, who used to book bands, she lived out in Fat City. So it was a bunch of young people, you know, we'd go out there to Murray's Playhouse and do the talent shows.
Yeah.
So every Tuesday, Murray had a talent show. And you'd go, and if you won the thing, you got $100. $100, a lot of money
I
back
was about
then.
to say.
And it was like a 6-week-long process. But if you came in second, you got $75, and if you came in third, you got $50. So the deal was you learn to come in second place or third place, because if you win the first time, you can't come back the next week to try and win.
They don't want to be getting sweep. You gotta keep up.
So, you know, one time I made the full sweep. I came in second 5 weeks in a row, and then won at the end.
Wow.
So when you win at the end, you get the $500.
Boom.
But Murray had a talent show on Tuesday. The Professional Bowl on the West Bank had the talent show on Wednesday, and Bobby Marchand had the talent show on Thursday. So you could hit all 3 of those up in the same week and just roll through them like that. And that's how
Almost like gigs. And then you get picked
it
up
was
too.
a real gig.
People look at you too like, oh, this kid came back 5 times in second. He got something here.
Well, yeah,
It's a way to go find
that's how
talent.
it works. Yeah, I got in Jeff Fest back in Lafreniere Park like that.
Yeah.
And all those things like that. You know, you're just out there having fun, but at the same time,
Somebody's watching.
yeah, they definitely watching. And then you're learning, like, what goes on. This was just like, I just took it as just like it was just like going to a university. I was like, my university is in the streets of New Orleans, and I'm going to pay attention to all of it and in the relationship of it. And then, you know, going to clubs and, you know, hanging out. I used to go see Percy and Willie, the Humphrey brothers, you know, at Prez Hall. And if you were like reasonable and paid and seemed trustworthy, you know, they'd be like, well, son, hold on that last set. Don't go nowhere because I need a ride home. They want to, you know, these men were like, they would get, you know, you give them a ride home and they would drop some knowledge on you. And they, you know, they wanted to like, you know, just be able to like move safely out of that space and get to the house, not have to wait all night for a taxi cab to come and get it. So, you know, I would drive a lot of people home. Lionel Furbos like that. He lived back on Annette Street. So many people lived in the 7th Ward that were like the older jazz musicians. That was the haven. And, you know, just became really good friends. Placide and them lived back here also. But they all lived practically in the same neighborhood, like within a block of each other at the maximum.
That's amazing stuff. I was going to ask you this question to give us a small introduction of who you are and how all these roles have came to fruition and how they're connected. But you just did all that. We literally just answered the question.
Well, you can still ask it.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, so how's a small introduction? How's about a small introduction of who you are and how all these roles have come to fruition and how they're connected?
Well, I never put a separation in my life between all those things that I thought were, you know, personal dreams, positive things going on, working in the wetlands and during the day, you know, being at work at 7 o'clock in the morning. I started in that same year, I was talking about 1988, 89, I started giving canoe tours out there. So I wanted people around here to experience what it was like to be in a swamp on the full moon at night. So every full moon for like 13 years in a row, I would lead canoe tours. No one was really doing that at all. So
it's magical,
I imagine, man. I would play music when I get them out there, but I would really, you know, talk a lot about educating them around the wetlands and then the sounds and, you know, all the alligators that would show up.
You see all those eyes,
gators,
right?
Oh, yeah, all of that.
Wow.
So I started doing that, and I just wanted folks to, like, experience what I was doing because I would go out there at night, you know, by myself, basically. And I initially did it on Saturday morning and Sunday morning, and I helped 2 guys that were like, convinced to. There was a Tony Ting, who's from family down in Lafitte from Manila Village. Those early settlers, the first Asian community in the U.S. really started right there. And his dad was a older gentleman, but the Ting family. I talked Tony into renting, buying 4 used canoes, and then Earl, who was across the street, into buying 4 used canoes. I actually looked them up on the Sunday classified. I was like, y'all get there. And they were like, what, are you crazy? Nobody wants a canoe around here because we use pirogues. And I said, no, but the people who come here and want to go out, they don't know
how to navigate them.
Yeah, they don't know anything about pirogue.
Right.
They're going to flip right out. And so I was like, no, a canoe is safer. So after a little convincing, they did get them. And I was like, okay, now you can rent them for I'm going to give the tour, because we didn't have like concessions in the park. They were right outside the park, literally at the park.
Wow.
Down in the Barrett area. And so, they started renting the canoes, and it just took off. And then I said, well, I'm going to do full moon canoe tours also. So they were like, I was like, yeah. Sunset.
I bet that was a hit.
The night before the full moon, the sun rises and the moon sets. I mean, the moon rises and sun sets at the same time. So, and the marsh is flat. You can see the moon and the sun both full at the same time.
Wow.
Coming up and going down. And that's an amazing experience. And how the animals react to it also is totally amazing. Especially in the spring, like March and April, when they're breeding, alligators are breeding, everything is breeding completely. And then I had a lady come out and from the New York Times, and she covered my canoe tour, and from there it just took off. I mean, the New York Times at that time was syndicated in like 124 other newspapers around the world. So I booked up the next day after that article came out on the Sunday Times.
On a waiting list.
People from all over the world were like calling the waiting list happened. I had to say, okay, I got to limit the number of canoes I can take out, because I still wanted it to be like magical and personal and not have 100 canoes. So I was like, no, the limit's going to be 10 canoes. But I booked up the whole year. Like that before 2 p.m. it was done. And that just kind of took off like that from that. But I took lots of people out, to go canoeing.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
man.
a lot of a lot of folks would come
still
down
out there now, man. I'm like, it's
still amazing. But taking
different,
folks like
everything.
Bonnie Raitt out there. Paul Simon called me up. He wanted to go canoeing, and
Bonnie Raitt and Paul Simon calling to do canoes. I mean,
Quint loved to canoe. I mean, he was really probably instrumental in all of that. But I took Bonnie and her brothers out one year, and they came down for Jazz Fest, and she loved. They grew up canoeing in California apparently, but.
And I'm sitting here thinking about,
but all kinds of people,
I can't help but imagine, and I want young kids to hear this. This is why I'm saying it. Of that 15-year-old kid, though, man, doing the work, putting it, and then here you are, you have Bonnie Raitt and Paul Simon calling you. Like, that is just something that is just so monumental to me to hear. Yeah, because I always want to just pass down information, and maybe some kid catch a nugget, like really having not knowing, and then just having faith and what they believe in, and putting forth the effort, and putting in the time, and putting in those things, and you can be like you, man. I mean, it's just the sky is the limit.
It's the fun in it, and also to understand that when you have those kinds of dreams or what it is and the aspirations, that make it a lifetime project. Let it circle your wagons and let it be. Let it do what it can do, as the people
make
say.
it do what it do, right?
Yeah, you can do that.
Could you explain the North Shore Skull and Bones to someone who, Northside, not North Shore, Northside Skull and Bones, to someone who may not know about it?
Yeah, I can make that attempt. The Northside Skull and Bone Gang is an old Afro-Creole, African-American carnival group. We call ourselves a gang, which means an aggregation of people. But it came from a merchant marine who came to New Orleans and started masking in 1819 as a skeleton. He came from South Africa. That's our oral history. And we We are like a really old school African spiritual group. Also, we bring messages for young people, especially about respecting their parents and the people around them, and to all of the other people too, about denouncing and moderation in life around drinking, around drugs, around
everything.
Violence. We denounce violence against children and women and men, and gunplay and all those things that will expedite your ultimate demise. So life is a precious thing. We dress as skeletons basically to wake people up. So it's an urban scared straight process, while at the same time honoring our ancestors, and the spirituality of what we do. So we drum and sing and we dress as those skeletons. Carnival is really the shedding of the flesh. So we're like the literal vision of what Carnival is. Shedding of the flesh. So when you see us coming, that's, some people see us and they lock their doors and they run. And some people run toward us. We're like a mirror. So it's
beautiful.
And so how you feel inside about all of those things
is what's going to come out.
It's an immediate reaction. It's not.
Wow.
Yeah, and it comes from the poorest people. And say, of course, in 1819, really the men that were doing this were enslaved African males. And that's the tradition.
Wow.
So we go door to door drumming and singing down in the Treme neighborhood. And we're gonna come out at 2500 Bayou Road, the place called the Church of I Am That I Am. That's a very historical site. Mm-hmm. It's where Bayou Gentile, Bayou Bienvenue, and Bayou St. John all split off. But it was a place there where Native American people were trading goods and coming down as far as from Canada 2,000 years ago.
Was that they call the ridge? I guess it was the highest point.
It is the
where
point.
all the Native Americans were, because they knew that was the highest spot, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's right there. That is the Esplanade Ridge, or the Bayou. And it's the oldest road in the city. Splits off right there. And yes, it was also the site of the old Liberton Market, which was a fish and game market way back in the day. Really the oldest trading market space in the city. Is right there, and that's a kind of fulcrum place there. Of course, right down the street is the Andrew Caillou Center, the old St. Rose de Lima Catholic Church, which was where Caillou and all of these people were members of. Andrew Caillou was the army captain in the 9th Cavalry. They went up to Port Hudson, which became later the Buffalo Soldiers and all that stuff, and they were members there. Plessy, Homer Plessy. This is where they organized the Plessy versus Ferguson case around separate but equal on motion carriages and so forth. But that space is a beautiful space, and so we'll be out there, and that's what we do. We bring that. We bring blessings to people. We remind them about who and what we are, and the main thing is you next.
Yeah,
you're not getting out of this. You might as well embrace who and what you are.
Yeah,
and know that there's no amount of money or no amount of movement that's going to get you out of returning back to dust.
Amen.
But you can do some good things in life
while we're here. Yep.
Whilst we're here, that's it. That's the whole movement. So it's a real old school carnival thing, and you just got to come on out at 5 a.m. and get in front of it, and I guarantee you're going to feel that one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I hear people all the time, man. And you got a knack of answering the questions before, but I mean, this is kind of the same thing. What emotions do you hope people feel when they experience the Skull and Bones?
Well, I hope they can really let it, without interjecting too many things, just let it happen. Know that you can honor your own people that passed away this past year, the ones that passed away 100 years ago, several thousand years ago. You can reconnect, and that's what we do. We set our altar out there. It's for everybody. We do this for the city. It's no, for us to do it, we do it because we feel like it's definitely necessary to keep us grounded, literally. and connected to who and what we come from, and that all the things going on is a lot of pageantry, but we'd like to remind people starkly, but also let them know that life is a privilege. And, connecting and coming together is like a real beautiful and serious thing to be able to do that and just feel it. It shows you have some emotional intelligence.
Yes, that's beautiful.
And so it's not trying to block or duck or duck. No, let it happen.
Yeah, that's
come on out with the Northside Skull and Bone Gang, and you can get connected. It's something that you can carry with you as well. From that day, but throughout your life. So it's good to
that's
be in
amazing.
Spaces and understand what that is.
And you're a perfect example for that, but just like letting it happen. I mean, I think you're like right in the exact place where you need to be, because you're living it. You're living exactly what you're saying. It's that a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people say things, but they don't live it actually.
Right.
Can you also talk about the significance of the Mardi Gras Indians and their contribution to the spirit of the season?
Well, there's a few things that are larger than the Mardi Gras Indians, Black Mexican Indians in New Orleans. This is like, the essence of what people think about when they think about Mardi Gras or Carnival, or like this unique space that we're here in New Orleans. It's the volume and the effort that people put into heart and soul, needle and thread, the singing, the chanting, the manifestation of saying, again, self-validation, first of all, like we know where we came from, we know who we are, here's what we think about ourselves. That's the wonderful
That's so
part
important.
of it. Yeah, and it's such a strong living example for younger people coming up too, but the ones that have been around if you've been here 150 years and you're still alive in New Orleans, you don't know about the Indian culture. Sunset on Sunday is when the practices happen. Those rituals have been going on for a very long time. And
I've seen some of those practices there. I mean, when Dr. John passed away, they had the ceremony they had for the family and stuff. I was fortunate enough to go there, and they had the Indians doing a practice right before the whole thing started.
Oh yeah,
it was like wow.
Yeah,
was
that's
like
real social
acoustic
movement right
just,
there. Yeah.
It was special. I get more chills. Honestly, I get my whole body. I mean, I feel energy, and so I'm always getting those waves of
staying
chills
connected to the real. And again, when I first moved here, like that was some of the most profound stuff I'd ever seen. Allison Mana called me up one day, and it was Jolly used to run
Big
practice.
Jolly, yeah.
Yeah, and I was working for the National Park Service, so we were getting ready to create a poster with Jolly. So I went with the lady Cindy Bird to go, and she photographed him over by his house. And it was like I knew he was some kin to the Nevilles, and then but I didn't know how strong the connection was. But they were it was really through Jolly that I met George Landry, that I met Aaron and them, and then I found out, Aaron and I used to jack weights together. We used to lift weights up at the Uptown Fitness Center.
He just turned, I'm going to tell you what, Ivan, he just turned like 80 something.
He's about 84 or 5 now.
Dude, and he was just working out that day. My man's still looking jacked.
That's who he is.
It's like unbelievable.
It was just like a wonderful revelation. That it was funny because I met all those folks separately. Now Cyril used to play at Benny's Bar. I was playing this band. We'd always play after him, which meant like I could get out the bed at 1:30 in the morning and go to the gig. Yeah,
Benny's is legendary too, man.
Play till sunrise practically, and then get in my truck and drive to the Barataria and be in my Park Service uniform. But the culture of that. The first time I went to a real practice was uptown. They used to have a place called Pete's Place. They had a few of them, but this was on Dryads. And the other place, the little smaller one, was the H&R where Bo Dallas was at, and all
legendary now.
Yeah, but Pete's Place, I mean, they would fit about 200 of them in there, easy. I'm not kidding. So I went there with
that is
Allison
overwhelming.
and
Just sitting here now, I can only imagine real time.
Yeah, so that was Cindy was up there, Allison Minor, who's a great friend of mine, and also encouraged me to start doing that Moonlight Canoe Tour. But she's working for the Jazz Fest and stuff like that, and Michael Smith. Those were
some real hardcore hitters.
Yeah, they were all great friends, and they really tried to help me out. He used to come out to follow me around and photograph me. Well, he was like, I'm just going to come in. I said, well, you need some hip waders if you go follow me around, because I'm going to
go deep.
Yeah, I would walk out the back door into the swamps and just stay all day for years. Wow. I did that, just trying to learn every living creature that was awesome. There. So I would just pick like 2 or 3 different animals and plants that I wanted to study every year, and just like go as deep into it as I could possibly. Plus the people, living around that area, and we're talking about Mardi Gras Indians. So I started hanging out with one of my best friends was Donald Harrison Sr.
Oh, I like him.
Who introduced me to his partners, and they all spoke Creole. So the man they called Robert Lee was the first chief of chiefs, and Ike, who was in they were all White Eagles initially, and then Ferdinand Bigard, who was the big chief for the Cheyenne.
Yeah.
And it was just on, and then of course Tootie Montana and all those folks like that. They all spoke Creole, as a matter of fact. So we had a connection like that. And with Donald, we became great friends, and we, doing performances and stuff together. And
amazing.
Get him to come up to Benny's, and he would play and sing stuff. So he, they passed on a lot of amazing knowledge to me. We're just hanging out. Yeah, we're just
carrying the torch, nice and bright.
So that culture though is like one of the absolute identities of New Orleans. You can't get around that one, and it's been so much folklore around it, but so many living examples of like what it is. Of course, my son plays in the band with the rumble, and they're doing
great.
A ton of music, and they're doing it right, and they're trying to keep it real.
We were just talking about that. A friend of mine who was saying, man, we were talking about this guy's a real music. He's a perfectionist when it comes to music. He goes, man, the only bands really that I really love these days is Rumble. He goes, they're still writing their own music. They're still doing their brand new stuff, and they're young, man. And that band is really. My friend Matthew Lazarus, he went to high school. He went to Grace King here. Not Grace King. He went to Tulane. Grace King. He went to Tulane. Graduated. He's a New York guy. His wife was one of the ladies, Jen Lazarus, but they just came here, had his 50th birthday party, and I was intricate in helping him get Rumble to play over at Jimmy's for his 50th birthday anniversary. And it was awesome, man. It's just, I'm really a big fan of theirs. They're very extremely hot, like red hot now. Like a lot of people are
they fall into it, which is great,
They really are good, man.
Writing some beautiful music, so yeah.
So what responsibilities do you believe artists have when representing history and culture and identity through their work?
I think the best thing to do is to be yourself, and be able to pass on the knowledge that you have, like straight up, that comes from you, and be open and honest about like what it is, like what motivates you, what things that younger artists should avoid. That's really how, that's the kind of beautiful help I got.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
Everybody was like honest and straight up. Even the tricksters were like, honest. They're like, hey, they're like, oh, well, okay. They would test you out and see if you understood what was going on.
Yeah.
I just have flashbacks and think about people like Tommy Rizzi. Tommy would be like, no, son, don't do that. No, come over here and stand by me. You know?
They know because you got a green light when you with them. You're like, don't mess with them, off limits.
That's right. And then at the same time, I had Cato and Jesse Hill. They're like, come here, son. We seen you in there. Do you want to go to Star School?
That sounds
my
exactly
cousin.
like
That's my cousin Oopie-Doo right there. We're gonna take you to Star School,
dude. But
they would do that.
What an amazing life.
Yeah, that was something, boy. And but then I would go over by Milton Baptiste's house, Dubat Studios on St. Anthony Street, right?
Yep,
not too far from here.
Right.
Tuesday night, I was going in there, and Ken Afro Williams was the sound engineer back there in Dubat, and he would, I would go over and just sit there and write songs in the studio, but out in the yard, and I was doing that with Barbara George and Eddie Bo.
Wow.
So we were making some music. And that's what I was going to say about that experience in the Maple Leaf. We had that band that we put together and had Eddie, Chuck Carbo, and Barbara were the main featured vocalists. I come out and do my 3 numbers, and I was emceeing the thing. And, man, one night we in there playing, and so Smokey was like, I got to do my number. So he does It Ain't My Fault, right? Mm-hmm. And he's playing. And, the band is cooking. And June Gardner come to the back door. Bam, bam, bam. He beat on the door. He said, hey. He was looking at me. Now, the Maple used to have the door back there in the window where the drummer comes through the back of it.
Yeah,
and he was like, come here. Hey. So I'm like, right in the middle of the play. He said, hey, you tell that old man up there to get ready to get up because I'm coming up there and get me some of that. And so... And he was like, and get me a vodka and orange juice from the bar, right? Yeah, right. And so I was like, okay. So I tell him, and he just opened up the back door, and he came in. He's playing that rhythm. It ain't my fault. He started playing. So Smokey gets up. Smokey look up at him, and he just started playing on the side of the wall, the 10, right on the wall. So I go to the bar to get June's drink, and I'm getting the drink. And the house is so thick, it's packed. Right, we had 700 people pass through that door that night, and then they were all out in the street. And John, by the grace of God, had actually said he agreed to do this. He knew I was. When I told him who I had played, I said, I got Barbara and Chuck and Eddie Bo, and I was talking about Eugene Ross on them. John said that. He was like, well, Bruce, that sounds good, but I think all them people are dead, ain't they? I said, no, they're not dead.
It sounds exactly like
And so I said, no, they're not dead. But I'm at the bar getting a drink, and then I see a man at the end of the bar, where Everett Maddox table and the chest stuff was back there, right? I said, come here. He's looking at me. And I said, oh, Lord. So I go back there. He said, hey, they tell me you the young man that put all this together. Is that true? I was like, yes, sir. He said, you the one managing this? I said, well, I can't manage all them people, but I said, but yeah, and he said, well, you hear the dude up there playing up there? He said, tell him his daddy about to come around there, and I'm coming to that back door, and he gonna get up off that seat because I'm gonna get me some of that. Nice. And I was like, okay. And then I said, tell him, who is it? He said, you tell him Earl Palmer coming back there. I'm going to give him his. So Earl got up there, and all 3 of them were playing. And then I brought June's drink back, and he playing on the glass. Smokey was on the wall. Earl was on the drums. Man, they tore their place up.
Man, when you talk about like playing just random things, Hurling just pops in my head. Like that dude, he'll be playing anything.
Yeah, he got the same spirit. Yeah,
same chills here again. Yeah, man, that's that energy from all those guys that just have the talent just flowing, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of people playing, and then there's that. And there's so many different levels of it. It's all good, and they can fit. You can put all that together in any kind of way. Like being in the back of the studio with Barbara and them writing songs, and Chuck, and that night, Barbara, Chuck Carbo, and Eddie Bo all got record deals.
Wow.
That very night. Kathy, and everybody came out for it. So Marsha Ball came to the gig, and she was supposed to play the next weekend, and she called me up and said, if you do that same show again, I'll let y'all have my Maple Leaf gig. I was like, well, you shouldn't do that. And she was like, no, if you can put that back together again. So she gave up her gig
to make sure
that happened again. It was like, that was something. So we did it again. You know, we did it.
One time for Marsha, she has ALS. Yeah. Now we want to send out some positive vibes to her. And she's a sweet
amazing
lady.
Yeah, sweet.
Sweet lady. Talented lady too, man.
Ooh, yeah. Real sweetheart though. You know?
Yeah, she is.
So heartfelt. Yeah.
It is. So I wanted to say, like, listen to you say that.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me think of, I mean, I just was, I guess, kind of naive thinking like New Orleanians just recently started blending in and playing with each other, but they've been playing with each other, just coming in like your man said, oh, no, I'm going to get some of this. This is like a long generation of what we do, even though it's a different band. And, and you know, like some people, like their band, that's their gig, that's their thing. But for us, we always seem like in New Orleans, when other guys come here, other people come in, like, man, people just jam out all the time. And they was doing it back then there. And a lot of those folks, I'm sitting here listening to you, man. Like, you made a lot of things possible for those folks. That had to be like a big way that you giving back to all those people unintentionally, but intentionally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's the New Orleans way. It's an open spirit. It's not closed. It's not desperate. It's confident in what it can do and how to do it. So it's much more sophisticated and again intelligent around like how to create something. This is why people around the world, and my thought process is what they know. Well, they may not be able to articulate the spirit of what they feeling. Again, better felt and talked about, right? But they know that this is like something different because it's open, and it does allow, and they can imagine and see and find themselves in it. Like a lot of places, in a lot of ways, music is delivered, and the philosophy of it can be more closed. But here, if you can get in and fit in,
it's welcoming.
Yeah. It's welcoming, and you can see how you can like reinvent yourself. Or you can become something that was like much better and greater than you imagined the first time. So it's the farm for modern music around the world for sure. That's why jazz became the forum of having grown off of blues and spirituals and work songs and all these different types of ways that people had to like recognize how to get over. In a different way. As Mahalia Jackson would say, all these people that came from here, they know that, and they took it out into the world, and they can deliver it in a live performance. They can deliver it in words, written words. They can deliver it on wax, on plastic, digital form. When you hear that spirit of that music, it transfers.
It really does. Man, I got to tell you, like, I went to one of my uncle's funerals with one of my uncles, right? And this preacher, most of the time Baptist preachers, they go long, long, long. But this guy wasn't that long, but he said something that touched me, pardon me, and it made me think about you now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. He was saying that, and he was talking about my uncle, it's like people, when we're born full. We're born full of like aspirations, hopes, dreams, ideas, and things. He said, but the key is when we die to die empty. And he goes, it's a shame that people, when they pass away, sometimes the cemetery is just littered with people who died full, which really was sad.
Oh, this is true. This is very true.
But all the stuff, things that you've done and all that, I think about you living and when you're not here, you'll be empty with all the things, and you probably have more things too, but I'm just saying, like, all the things that I'm just listening to is motivating for me like this was just an idea I conceptualized. The Whistle Monsta was an idea because my grandmother said, hey, God gives everybody a talent. You just have to find it. Yeah. And that's kind of what you do all the time. And that's what you have done when you came here.
My big mama told me that about dreams also. So going back to like who motivated me to write down my dreams, it was her, Louisiana Norris.
Nice.
She was she started helping me when I was having lots of vivid dreams when I was a child. You know, my folks didn't know what was wrong with me.
I had an Aunt Lavinia.
But she did that, and she even saved the birth sack call that was, I was one of those kids, I guess, as a baby born with the eyes open. And so I still have it. The shoe got the birth sack in it with a little cotton ball in it. And,
that's some special
she's
stuff.
Always, she was the one who helped me with all of that and helped to guide me through and understand like how important those things were. And she was like, she read stars. She was like a healer for people all around in our community. Folks would come knock on the door all the time for her, and she told me a lot about the plant, all these different healing plants that you use with prayers, to help people get past the ailments, mental, physical, and spiritual.
My grandmother, Loretta Oledge, Native American, African American woman, my mom's mom, and she was born in 1914. She was a reverend. She married people, and people used to always come to our house, and I slept in a room sometimes with an altar part of my life because she prayed for people. Like people would come over to our house on a regular, and she would pray for them. I mean, it was just, I just grew up in that. You know what I mean? And
right there.
And that's the same thing like Big Mama in Lavinia. She was like the same way, like healer, praying for people. And, so I'm going to get you out of here on these last few things, but how do you keep the younger generation engaged in tradition?
You have to be hands-on to keep them actually engaged and locked into it, and that's a real thing. It's like what we do with the Skull and Bone Gang. We bring in young people into it. We want them to know firsthand what it is, how important it is, and how important it is to be able to like articulate who and what you are. So you need to sit down and think about that first. Like who am I? What am I? What's my value system? What do I have that I can bring into the spaces that I live in a positive way, and not be afraid to pass this on to other people too. It's not something that you hoard. You shouldn't hoard your talents.
Right.
No, they're there. These are like blessings that have been like bestowed on you, and so sharing them is important. Everybody has them. And if you need to dig to find them, we can help you find them or allow you to be in the right space to know it. And the sooner the better is one of the main things. So, I've done a lot of stuff around that, like working with young people. And when I worked for the National Park Service, whether I was out in nature or after Danny Barker convinced me to leave he told me one day, he said, hey, Ranger, what do you think about while you're out there hugging them trees and roping gators, why don't you think about coming downtown and doing something about this music, which was like jazz. He was talking about having that New Orleans Jazz National Park at the time. This was, we're talking 1981, so it wasn't around yet. But he said, why are you down there hugging them trees and roping them alligators and things? Why don't you come on downtown with the sharks and do something about this music? Man. So he took me down to jazz music.
All his music is so good.
What is the Jazz Museum now? The old U.S. Mint showed me all those instruments, and he was like, why don't you put that on you? I just want to put this on your mind and think about it. So, yeah, I mean, it was like about 5 or 6 years later. I was downtown, but I started a program teaching young people traditional brass band and jazz music, having like 4 different bands, Treme Bass Band for a whole month, with Benny and Uncle Lionel, Storyville Stompers for a month, Joe Targano, Oscar Washington, Raw Players, Rudley Thibodeau, Algiers Stompers, And we did that for 9-10 years almost. My son was in the class. A bunch of those kids who came out of, like out of the Treme and out the, off of Rampart Street and out of Metairie and every, it's like any child that walks through the door, we're going to let them figure out if they don't know which instrument they want to play, let them try it out. And, it was taking kids from like
so organic,
6-7 years old on up through, 17 years old. And they were able to learn firsthand how to play traditional music, brass band, jazz music, how to dress for a funeral, what songs to play, the whole etiquette, and how do you have a lifestyle in music as a New Orleans musician.
That is so
important. And that was like,
so important.
Something that they could have for free, no charge, and put them in the Jazz Fest and the kids stage, created a kids stage at French Quarter Fest for them up there on the river by the riverboat. Took them to Alabama to go and play, and Georgia to play the homecoming at Albany State University. Started a kids stage at the Louis Armstrong Festival in the.
Let's give them a taste and let them get going.
Yeah, they were rolling too in no time and play. So but they learned it from people who had been doing it for 50, 60 years. Had them playing with Lionel Furbos when they were 9 going on 10. He was 100 years old. Wow. He's playing his music from 1924 and putting it in their ear. Just when they're young like that, you can pour it in there.
Music is a good vibe.
They weren't questioning it, but they were learning technique and style that you can't get in. I don't care what university you go to,
right?
Unless you may be at Craig University down there,
right? Exactly.
at the in the Treme or in the back of the Seventh Ward or these places. And so when they graduated, they from high school, I think 10 of them got scholarships out at 13 right away.
Wow.
Going to Berkeley, going to Tulane, going to
because they
Juilliard,
already had in shape.
Yeah, they were playing in such an advanced style, and they'd learned to play blues and spiritual music.
Yeah, versatile
most important,
too, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then all of the other stuff that was going on. So trying to continue that and have them, have that kind of knowledge and have the knowledge of like the natural world around them here in this area. It's like important. And then, letting them know that, again, it's not something you should sit on. Well, you've been all ambitious and conquering the world. Learn to pass this on. And it shouldn't be a price tag on it. It should be something that you give because it was given to you.
I think it was Picasso, and I hope I don't butcher it too much, but he goes, in the world, you should live to find your gift and give it away. Mm-hmm. That's basically kind of what you're saying, like, learn and understand and then pass it on.
Right.
Like that's the ultimate. So like if you say when your cup is full, only when it's empty that you can be filled with something greater.
That's right. Yeah, and that doesn't come with a price tag. And I think for a lot of people, they recognize it that way, realize it that way. It'll leave you with such a better taste of coffee, a better taste in your mouth when you are able to do that, and you don't have regrets about any of those things like that because you've done what's necessary to keep it moving, and almost all musicians when they hit a certain age and mark, and some of them earlier, there's no real time period or age where you can't like learn to do these things, but that kind of satisfaction is like the best. Really, it doesn't have to have a monetary value on it or some status, like, no, it's real. So that first card you pull out around the ego, when you understand that to be selfless around that and around it, the ego should only be in like, what can I give? So learning the art of and being in the mindset of the gift of giving and the art of giving, that's important. The art of giving is like a whole different thing. It'll bring you more satisfaction. You can settle out all kinds of other things that may seem complicated in your spirit or mindset. When you learn the art of giving, that's a different party.
Yep. That's what I tell my daughter. Some people are fountains and some people are drains. It's important to be a fountain,
That's right.
give. I'm going to let you out on these these little speed questions. It's not really a right answer, just your opinion. So, purple, green, or gold?
Purple.
Day or night parades?
Night.
New Orleans in one word.
A mother.
When the music stops, what stays?
The beat is still in my feet.
Beautiful, man. Look, Sunpie, man. Oh, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. How did you get the name Sunpie?
Well, it's a family name. So my uncle up in Bastrop, Louisiana, his name was Sunpie. It's a Blackfoot name.
Oh, wow. Cool.
His mama named him that, and he was my favorite uncle. He played piano, like boogie woogie barrel house style stuff, and I used to follow him around like a little duck when I was a kid. So my Aunt Fanny started calling me Little Sunpie because she loved teasing kids first of all, and so
you're like a little sponge, sucking everything up, huh?
Yeah, he played piano. He would play all these old style blues, like a lot of stuff that Fest kind of bases his music off of those.
They did.
Those styles, like Roosevelt Sykes used to play the 44 blues, where my uncle played that. In fact, him and my dad, Roosevelt Sykes, those people, they all worked on the same plantations.
Wow.
But yeah, that's where it came from. I just dropped a little part when I got older.
That's awesome, man. So what gigs, I know about the Friday the 13th, our gig over at there. We're going to be parading through the streets. So you guys, if you're around, you definitely can, I think you can buy a ticket. It's a private party. You got to have a costume. The theme is, because Bob Weir passed away, we named it Let's Get Weird. Weird. So
Let's Get Weird. I had a great time with the Skull and Bone Gang at Jazz Fest with Bob and Mickey Hart and everybody. That was wonderful.
I mean, I hate to keep saying like a book, but man, you're just such a plethora of knowledge. I could sit here. We were supposed to go like 45 minutes or an hour and 22, only because it's just like time flies when you're having fun.
And hey.
It's
all good.
We don't allow you have page right now.
Yeah, you're right.
So what gigs do you have coming up right now?
We got that. Crew of Oak Party on Friday, playing Dos Effie Saturday.
Oh, really?
I have, I think I got just like a couple of little private events, and then I'm gonna be able to skate in the Carnival Day, feeling pretty good this time. A lot of times you have so many gigs but I'm learning to enjoy it all, and this is a pretty good setup this year, other than a couple of, little gigs that are coming up, little private events. But I'm not I got Mardi Gras off, so I can enjoy the Orpheus Parade, and I'll be ready, but I'm going to really be setting up the stuff that we do out at, Bayou Road, 2500 Bayou Road. I'm stoked for that again. I love some Mardi Gras.
Dude,
I love the atmosphere, the food, the whole concept of it. It's the best of what we know how to do in New Orleans. So
you're an
y'all
amazing,
out there, come on down.
I will, man. Look, I'll be remiss if I didn't say that I dropped the ball years ago with the opportunity to go there. But there's always now you can live in. You can't live in the past. I can live in the now.
You still got a chance.
You're the biggest ambassadors to the culture of New Orleans and what New Orleans is about, and it's just a pleasure to sit here with you and talk to you. And guys, you go out and see Sunpie. He's a clever guy. Not only that, folks are gonna probably try and talk your head off now that they know all this information like their uncles. But that's what New Orleans is about. We want to talk to people to death and want to feed them.
Yeah, we're still out here doing it. I'm still excited about life and doing positive things. I ride on that positive pony, and so
thank you for coming to the fan cave, man.
I'm loving it. I'm looking at all the memorabilia around here.
I got set list all at the top, and that I keep on each show. I'll have if I can ask in advance. I know a lot of people don't really do set lists at the Leaf, but if you have a set list at the Leaf, I like to try and claim it.
You might run up on a set list, I still like to do some set lists. And that's probably one I should do anyway for the Leaf.
The whole crew, just so you know, I'm one of the lazy boys. I've just in the last few years have been responsible for toasting the 40 Funny Fellows, starting off the carnival season, which I never thought I would ever be able to do that. But when we found out that we had you, it was like, fun. Dude, it is on. We are so excited about that, and I can't wait till Friday. Yeah. Johnny V's the king, and
yes, indeed,
and Allison Young. Yes, it's gonna be a good time. So remember, guys, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. To find us, you can go on our YouTube channel at Only Good Vibes News Network, and also. You could go on our podcast because we have a podcast as well in all the standard places. And do you have a website that people can check out if they want to?
They can go to Sunpie Barnes .live.
Sunpie Barnes.live. Go check him out. This man is a New Orleans treasure, and as a 6th generation New Orleans man, I am honored and blessed.
I'm honored.
And I'm also, I don't ever want to ever forget that. Just thank you for your time, because you could do anything. You can be anywhere in this world, but you chose to be here, and it means a lot to me, man. I really appreciate it, Sunpie. I wish you all the best, man. Anything I could ever do to help you, you let me know.
Same here, bro.
Enjoyed
it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Walking